Remix.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Powered by Riverside.
Okay. You want the turntables? Mix it.
Yeah, man. Just don't think he's actually paying attention to the intro.
Oh, that's off guard. Wait a minute.
Have I heard the little man say 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end of that?
I have.
Have you?
Yeah. It's gone on long enough.
Thought I freshened it up a little bit. It's time. I don't know. It's late, damn it. Anyway.
It'd be like that.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to On the Back Hash, where we talk about all things pageantry arts. My name is Cedric, and today with us is Will and Zach. I'm really concerned about Chris at this moment in time. If you have seen him, please let us know in the comments where he is. Is he safe?
There are flyers everywhere.
Yeah, do you need to put an ATV on him or what? Because I'm concerned about the guy.
I'm gonna have to text his wife. So maybe she'll know.
Where your baby at? And not the real baby.
You will be like in the bed.
I gotta be specific.
The 35-year-old baby.
Yeah. You gotta be more specific.
Yeah,
I don't
getting close.
Yeah.
Might as well be. I've got 2 kids.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I always joke around and say if you have a kid, that gives you 10 years added to your age automatically. I don't know. I say stupid stuff like that sometimes. But kids to do that to you, man. Teaching just does that to me.
I'm trying to tell you. Grades.
It's just like, if you did what I did every day.
That's what I tell everybody. I was like, this came from teaching.
Straight up.
Oh, what was it? I don't know if I told this story here. No, I think I told it to the person that it was involved with. But anyway, we was talking about I was subbing for the high school director one day, and we was talking about that stuff, and he's like, one of the kids, he's like, yeah, I don't know how we got on the subject, but he just felt the need to Jones me for something that day, and I'd already got him back once, and he tried it again. Maybe saying something about me being old or something like that. He's like, yeah, that's why you got gray in your beard. And I just kind of looked at him. I was like, you know what? That's cool because somebody likes it.
Wait a minute.
And the class lost it. He just sunk in his chair and was like, oh, man. I was like,
yeah.
Listen.
Kind of brought that on yourself.
One of my kids said a comment about my gray hair and said that it looked like I've been using Touch of Gray, and I said that they needed a touch of A on their report card. So that was the end of them. They moved.
Wow!
You're like, that's right. Get out of my classroom.
People move, right?
Out the whole state? Yeah.
They moved to Idaho.
It's only I hate you so much. So much.
And nobody has a clue why.
Nobody has a clue. And I'm like, do I fill them in on why?
Pre-episode shenanigans.
Yes,
that's all you need to know. Pre-record shenanigans.
You know, if you ever get big and famous and ever need like a Patreon or something, we're gonna record the stuff we say before this podcast and the stuff we say after. But
you can join our fan club for a monthly fee and get access to the behind-the-scenes blooper reels.
If you want to hear
the pure nonsense.
We're pretty relaxed here, but like we really don't care before and after. Oh gosh, this man said Idaho. Oh man. So, you guys have a good week.
Yeah, for it to have been a 4-day week, it was a 35-day week. It seemed like.
No.
But
people put up those memes with calendars of January, and they'll be like, "And today is January 88th," and
right,
Man.
right.
it's like
I had one of them moments where I lost a whole day. I would have told you straight to your face that Thursday was Friday.
Mm.
I don't know who I was talking with. Somebody sent me a message on Snapchat, and it was like, I don't even remember what the message was, but I told them, I said, You're the reason why I just now realized today is not Friday. I was like, how did I do that?
Mm.
I hate when that happens, though.
I'll wake up like that, but it's usually, if I skip a day, it's usually because I'm really trying to get to something at the end of the week, and I'm just, so I'll just like, yeah, today's Thursday. Like, nah, man, it's Tuesday. Like, oh, crap.
What?
But yeah, there was one day in school last semester I was like that. I was like, yeah, today's Friday. And now today's Wednesday. It's like, but it feels like Friday. I try not to question it.
I think I got even more fooled because I wound up watching some NBA game, I think, and it solidified to me. I was like, okay, today's got to be Friday then, because they're playing, or it might have been the Lakers. I don't know who it was, and then come to find out, nah, bro, it's Thursday. What?
But I don't know. I think this just means we're getting old.
That part.
All right. So today we're going to kind of continue our delve into and preview into the WGI season. We're going to kind of give you some groups in the Scholastic realm of things that you can look at, and we may talk about some other stuff too. But before we hop into that, we're going to do a really quick DCI minute with a couple of really small, they're small announcements, but like they're kind of some cool announcements. The first one being the Cavaliers, for their 75th anniversary show, are going to bring back the White Aussies.
What?
Old school.
Yeah. I remember thinking those were so cool. And what's funny is my high school, we marched when I was in school. We were the Rebels. So our uniform, before a certain band director got there, we marched in gray Confederate Army uniforms. So we had gray Aussies. I didn't realize how cool they were when I was wearing them because I was too busy wearing the gray Confederate Army uniform. But watching the Cavies with them, that's just kind of iconic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it fits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I kind of hope they do some cool drill.
See, we were
like, are they too old for that, or can they still pull that off?
We were talking about that earlier before you hopped on, and we were trying to figure out, well, are they going to do will they do an alumni corps? Will they do like a tribute show? And I joked that, they basically got the same staff they had back in those iconic shows. So they're just I said they're going to do frameworks over again, or machine again, or maybe take them and mesh them together. So
coolest mashup.
Mm-hmm.
It will probably be something very man-oriented because that's the kind of thing. But who knows? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Last time they went that route, it wasn't very good.
Well, they went that route, but they didn't go that route. I don't know.
Swing and a miss.
It was interesting. I'll give it that. But so yeah, just looking forward to see that because like I said, that just screams Cavies all over again. Mm-hmm. So I'll be really interested to see how they incorporate that into the show. So. And then another small tidbit would be the Troopers. Of course, they announced their show ultra early. I think it was like last year.
It was
December. Yeah,
they were pushing the marimba off the field at Lucas Oil, and they were like, "All right, next year we're going to do this."
Yeah.
So
they've announced a show title, which I think is "To Lasso the Sun." I think that's what it's called already. But they're going to do something really cool that I haven't heard of anybody else doing. So if you have heard of that, let us know in the comments and tell us about it. But I haven't heard anybody doing this. But they're going to hold a webinar in February. And if you go to their Twitter page and probably on their Facebook page and website as well, you can get the information about it. But they're going to hold a webinar, talking about the show, giving details about design. I think you're going to get a sneak peek at the uniform. You're going to get lots of information about the show. I think you can probably even ask some questions about it as well. They're charging $10, and I forgot exactly where the funds go to, but it was something pretty specific. But that's a cool thing. If I was, I'm going to be out of town that day, but if I was somewhere where I could watch it, I would probably do that because, like I said, you might get some behind the scenes look about how they got to that point of what they want to. This is the show that we want to do and design and go that route. So, but I thought that was really intriguing, and if this is kind of successful, you might see a lot of other.
Yeah, I'm about to say you're gonna start seeing, some other groups.
I don't think Blue Coats will do it though.
No,
Blue Coats.
You're not getting that till the championships.
Yeah, till as they're setting up the field, that will be their webinar.
Blue Coats would be have been subliminally telling us what we needed to know throughout every little Twitter post and Instagram reel.
Oh, probably.
And we have no clue.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did.
This is going to be like their first. This is their first picture.
Something.
It's part of the show. What is this, Blue Coat? Stop it.
It'll be a turf turd.
Yeah.
Zoomed in 50,000 times.
A bunch of random stuff. What is this plate of Skittles? I don't understand.
And it'll all make sense when you watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I can't stand y'all.
Skittle represents the sweetness in the Dolce section of the.
Mind blown.
Just so brilliant. I still say they should revamp the show and call it Lips just because. I still want them to do that, but that's my petty side. So I'm not going to say it. But yeah, so now a lot happening in the DCI world, which makes sense. They're not the NFL. They don't have to keep us on our toes all year long.
Man.
Speaking of NFL, go Niners. Yeah. And Bengals, I guess.
How about?
No, don't know.
Oh.
No, not about it.
Not today. Welcome to the couch.
So, like I said, we can talk about anything, not just fantasy arts. We got a lot of different interests, so never know what you're going to get with us. All right, so back to some WGI stuff. As we kind of mentioned in the last episode, it's that time of season. I think circuits opened up this past weekend. I know my home circuit had their first weekend of shows. That was cool. For me, I get excited just seeing numbers, just seeing scores, and knowing that's coming up. And my group don't go out until the 18th of February, so I'm going to be like,
shout out Franklin Simpson Winter Guard, second place this past weekend out of 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Felicia is doing some good things down there.
Yeah. Yeah. She, and we got a lot of, and the cool thing about it is we got a lot of friends that run programs around here that do kind of stuff. And Franklin Simpson, that's where Chris teaches. So their guard had a successful season. A couple of our good friends from Christian County Hot Town, they had a successful day as well. Both of their groups finished first in their individual classes. So some strong stuff come out of there. So shout out to Troy Jones. His crew. Clips World had a very nice debut. That was one of the groups that we mentioned to watch out for. They had a pretty good debut. And it's early, man. I couldn't imagine being prepared to do something this early in the season. But those guards did it.
Man, they I'm telling you, groups start earlier and earlier every year. It's getting to that point, and a lot of, especially your independent groups, do that, man. It don't matter if march band going on. It don't matter if this going on, man. They might hold once a month, once a week, maybe. Who knows? But and it ain't always learning, especially in the color guard world. You're going to more than likely get fundamentals out the way.
Yeah.
So,
and we talked a little bit last week about, some of the difference between independence and scholastic. And one of the big differences is the rehearsal schedule. With a scholastic group, which we're going to talk about some of those later on in the podcast, but with a scholastic group, you can practice throughout the week. Depending on the facilities that you have, if you have an extra gym or if you have gym availability, you can practice throughout the week. So schools practice 2 or 3 days a week, just throughout the week. And it's usually during basketball season, so you have to work out times and stuff like that. So I know some winter programs, they don't get to a gym until maybe 6 or 7 o'clock that night. So they may get out of school, go home, do homework, and then come back and then put a hour and a half, 2 hours in. But they can practice throughout the week. They might pull a Saturday for a longer day just so they can, guarantee a significant amount of gym time to get in there. Independent groups, being that most of the time they are coming from several different either high schools or colleges or just random folks. Other states. Their practice times are usually typically on the weekends. So they will come in on a Friday evening, practice Friday night, practice all day Saturday. Some may practice Sunday morning as well, Sunday afternoon, and then go back to their wherever they came from. So all of their stuff is typically done just on the weekends. So
you won't get them 3 days.
Yeah, you got to get the practice time in. Because you get the question a lot of times, even in marching, man, it's like, why do you guys practice so much? It's like, well, we're shooting for perfection.
Yeah.
We spend all of this time to make sure that what we do from a 4-minute to 8-minute span is perfect. Everything that we do, it has to be perfect. I talk to my kids a lot, and we talk about why music's important and why it's important that we do what we do in here. And it's like, we're one of the few classes where you have to be perfect. Beyonce can get out there and get only sing 90% of her notes correct. She can't do that.
Well,
go ahead.
Unlike sports, there's no bench. Like, if you're not having a good week of practice, you can't sit them out. I mean,
everybody's in. It's 100% from everybody.
Yep, everybody's a starter.
Yep.
We'll spend 9 hours a week to make sure 4 minutes of music is the best that it can be, because that's just where we have to be with it. So that's one of the huge kind of differences between that is rehearsal. And then the travel that goes along with it. Scholastic groups typically stay in their little, hub of their circuit or whatnot. And if they're if they're trying to go to world championships or anything like that, they'll go to a regional. But independent groups like let's take Mystique for instance, they'll go to Atlanta for a regional, or Mississippi, or Dayton, or Indianapolis. Like, you might see them at 1 or 2 circuit shows a year, but every other week they're going to regional. So they can get that feedback, get that competition. And so their fees are typically significantly higher because of those things. Some scholastic groups are high, fees are high as well, but a lot of them really try to keep the budget low. I know in our group, I always tried to keep the budget low, because if it got too high, I wouldn't have any kids. It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
it's a balance.
Yeah.
Tell me why, when you said, when people ask us, why do y'all practice so much? The first thing that popped in my head was, have you seen what class we're in?
That's the thing too.
Yeah. Do you know what class we're in?
That is a thing too. It's a hard balance, because I know for me, we've gone concerts, so we basically cut out our Saturday practice. We don't do those anymore. We do 2-3 hour rehearsals a week, and I'm just like, if we can't get it done, then we don't need to get it done. I either need to rewrite something, or it's just not gonna happen this week, because I want the kids to be kids. Like, this is an activity that you do, but I don't want to take up all your time to do the activity. You have other interests, you have jobs, you have family that want to see you from time to time. And we'll spend enough time together on these trips, but during the week, let's get what we need to get done, and then you go on home and take care of your homework, take care of yourself, and all that good stuff. And your best groups, make that work, And a lot of times, your best groups, the kids will kind of dictate the schedule to you. They'll be like, this is enough, or this isn't enough, or this is too much. And, you can watch the rehearsals and you'll be like, maybe we don't need that extra hour today. Maybe we could cut practice a little bit earlier today. So you can get the most out of your kids kind of moving forward. So, but yeah, lots of things to consider when you have these groups. And like I said, it's some groups are at an advantage or a disadvantage. Like the California groups where it never gets cold,
right?
They can practice outside in January and February. So gym time is not as big as an issue for those groups because they have ample space outside and the temperature cooperates with them where they can be outside. So, all right. Okay, anything to add before we get into these schools?
Let's do it.
All right. So today we're concentrating just on the Scholastic groups. Last week we talked about the independent groups. These are schools. They're either like their own high school or middle school, or they are schools within the same school district. So like if, let's say there's a school district that has like 4 smaller schools, that by themselves they could not hold a line, but if they combine, they could do one. Then you can combine schools. They just have to be in the same school district, under the same school district for like insurance purposes and competitive purposes. So, and this has helped a lot of schools. This has helped our school. We've been able to have our group because we've been allowed to use other schools in our district. While we don't get a lot of them, we get enough to where we can fill the group. It's what it's not designed to be is like you take the best kids from each school and combine them to make like a mega group. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose is to allow for groups to exist in general. So, and I think for the most part, everybody actually follows the spirit of the rule the way it's meant to be done. So, starting off with color guard. Anybody want to go first? Or you need to go first?
Talking about just groups in general.
Yeah, we're just talking about some groups that to look out for or you want to see.
Well, I got actually a bunch of them.
Okay.
I can say a group that I constantly think about if I'm watching a color guard is Tarpon Springs. They're probably they're just one of my favorite schools in general, even in BOA. The creativity out of that group is outrageous. It's strictly outrageous. Another big banger would be Avon High School. I mean, the talent level in that group is just if you were not a part of the Avon destruction that they did of WGI last year, that school won every single class in everything. Color guard, percussion, and wins. How? That's like, okay, if that's like winning the Super Bowl. So like that entire Avon staff needs a pay raise, something. They need a spa day, something. I don't know what that school needs to
give. That's more than winning the Super Bowl. That's like one owner owned the Super Bowl champion, owned the NBA Finals champion, and owned the MLB champion.
That part.
That's what Avon High School did last year.
It's like outrageous.
And like no one was near them. I know we're jumping the gun a little bit, but no one was near them in wins.
Like
unreal. Why were you there?
Right. It's and to my knowledge, that's history. That's WGI history.
Yeah,
I don't think there's not a single school that's ever done that in all classes. But
all world class, it just
yeah. But yeah, definitely keep your eyes out on Avon. That whole school has got some defending to do because everybody's probably going to be gunning for them. But Miamisburg, another fantastic group. keep that eye out on that group, man. I'm telling you, man, these schools, oh, it's so mind boggling. It's like how I tell people like because I'm a percussionist. That's the side that I go to or whatever. But I watch these guards, man, and sometimes I'm just like I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing because this is beyond creative and it's so hard to judge because percussion is in my opinion as far as movement way more limited than color guard is. But I don't know, man. Sometimes you see these things, it's like this is just something that the brain should not come up with. This, whatever drugs these people are on is, I don't know, it needs to be investigated. But yeah, those are just a few. I mean, I could keep going on, but I'll pass the torch. But yeah, definitely keep your eyes on those top threes for real. And that's just Scholastic World. I ain't even talk about any other class.
Yeah. Zach, you got anybody? I know guards, maybe not your.
Yeah, I mean, I just like when I look at the people who are currently signed up, I go with my knowledge from BOA and you see groups like the Woodlands or who else, Avon, who else? What was another one I was just looking at? Dobbins Bennett, groups that have a big BOA presence. Typically, their guards are going to be really good as well. So, just me scrolling through the list right now, I'm looking at a bunch of these, and I'm like, oh, that name sounds familiar. So, I kind of have an eye out for them just because I want to see if what they're doing in outdoor translates to indoor or vice versa. But then, just looking at Scholastic A, there's some local groups in here that I might keep an eye on. Lafayette, Ryle High School, then, a little bit further circle spread, I guess you could say, Mount Juliet,
Bob Jones.
There's groups that I've heard of that are kind of local to us. It's like, if I'm looking for somebody that I want to keep an eye on and, kind of cheer for, I might go for somebody who's local. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my thinking until I get to actually watch a show and then find that group that I'm like, all right, this is who I'm rolling with.
Because that's why I said I only talked about Scholastic World. I was like, man, it's crazy because you got Edie White, Hebron High School, and all. Mm-hmm. It's stacked, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of glad you brought up the whole BOA thing because like I said, there's a lot of schools that have indoor programs that you can look at for, and if you're looking for groups that to get you started, to get you into it. Mm-hmm. Your BOA, your BOA finalists and semifinalists are awesome groups to look at that because, like we alluded to last week, a lot of people will use WGI to train their students for the next marching band season. That's one reason why, it started out to begin with and reason why people are using it. So to me, it's not a coincidence that some of your top BOA groups have indoor groups. It's whether it's a color guard or a percussion or even a winds group, because it does. I mean, it helps. It's just extra training that you would get. A couple other groups to think about. Bellbrook. Usually, I always come up with some very, very innovative things. They're being open class this year in Scholastic Open. Friendswood out of Texas. They may medal this year. They finished, I think, 4th or 5th last year at WGI championships in Class A. And WGI had a really pretty hard and fast rule that if you medal the next year, you come out, you got to be in the upper class. So that opens the door. And I think that's why you see a lot of parity, especially in the color guard world, about repeat winners and stuff like that, is because, they moved those top 3 up.
I guess I knew that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a policy. If you medal, you move up. And I think that's one reason why Eclipse Open moved up to World is because they finished second last year. So they have an A class group and then a World class group. Eclipse says so. Friends, Friendswood, and then I said Brentwood, and then Oviedo is another one to look out. Carmel, once again, if you saw them BOA, you probably saw the guard and you recognize how good they are. They have a top-notch winter guard as well. So, and you guys mentioned about Juliet as far as like a local group. Mm-hmm. So those are just some few color guards that you can look forward to. Check them out. Like I said, a lot of the color guards have already started their season, so you can go ahead and you might be able to find videos on them. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. I don't know. Guard videos are even harder to find than percussion videos. Sometimes. So yeah. So there's that. So, are you anything else to say about guard?
Mm-hmm. Right. Don't drop.
Then moving. Yeah, don't drop. Don't drop. And if you're going to a color guard show for the first time, like let us know how that went for you. You will probably notice some traditions. At these guard shows. Don't give it away yet. let them find out for themselves. They're cool traditions. They are. It's just different. So
it can be a lot.
Guard show. It can be.
It can be a lot.
You gotta love it. I love the support that they give to each other. Though. I really do. They're fans. Let me tell you something about that.
It's unmatched.
Let me tell you something about that.
Just
with Winter Guard,
in the band world in general, you're not going to see in any other activity that's competitive. Nothing tops the marching arts, the pageantry arts, and groups being supportive of each other. You can. I don't care what sport, what activity. You're not going to go and see kids who are, your band truck is right next to them, and you might hate their program with all your guts, but those kids are going to hang out with each other. Mm-hmm. And that's just how we roll, between the salutes, they're not your friend, but afterwards you're going to be eating off each other's food truck.
Yeah.
Like for real.
But at a guard show, if it goes in the air, you're clapping.
Yes.
You're clapping. I don't care if you get caught or not.
Right?
If it goes in the air and it comes down, I guess it got to come down too. But if it goes in the air, you're clapping. Everybody's clapping. Like it doesn't. They're so supportive in the color guard world, and it's really cool to watch and to experience. So, like I said, go catch your show. All right, percussion world. Zach, I'll let you go first.
Fine. If we're talking world, obviously your California groups are going to be the ones you're watching for, Ayala, Chino Hills. And then, obviously you can't leave out Dartmouth, cause they always have some production happening. I mean, it's like a full on theater department threw up with drums. It's a lot, but they always do something really cool, and it's always a fan favorite out of Dartmouth. So just speaking on in terms of the world class groups, those are some that you can always count on to have something really entertaining. A class, oh gosh, I was looking at it. I mean, there's only 6,000 groups in A class. Pretty much, who was, Mount Juliet, there's another group that's close that, keep an eye on. Who was that one group I was looking at? They're not A class. Is it Victor J. Andrew?
Victor J. Used to be A long time ago.
Yeah.
They open now.
Well, they always have something solid out. And that's all I got, percussion-wise.
Cool. Will?
Yeah, Zach touched on a lot of great ones. I have, I don't know. Sorry. My phone just did something weird. Within I was going to say like the past 2 or 3 years, but since indoor ain't been out since 2020, and last year was the first year out, maybe around 18-ish, 2018-ish or whatever. I recently started really digging Etowanda High School, and when I see them, I usually tell people, I was like, keep an eye on them. They're one that kind of sneak up on you. They kind of sneak up on. That's a really good group to watch out for. I am also a fan of Petal High School.
Yeah.
I really like Petal High School. They can be on the struggle bus sometimes, and a lot of people say they don't really have the notes. If you're thinking about winning, they say they don't have the notes. But for me, I've told people this for so many years, and I promised myself I will not go into a Boston Crusaders episode and just flip my lid. But I've done this for so long. I tell people this: notes are no longer impressive, but how you write can be impressive. Because if you're thinking about, even in Scholastic world these days, I know we're talking about Scholastic world, but especially in independent world, if you think about it, there's not one single note or rhythm or rudiment that not every group has already played. So it's not impressive anymore. But how you write that book, like Rhythm X, yes, sir. How is a big factor of a lot of stuff. That's why I think so many people liked Boston Crusaders, because how they did it was very impressive, but what they were doing was not impressive to me as far as difficulty. I've been seeing that. So I'll leave it there. Woosah. But yes, Petal, watch out for them. Watch out, Centerville. Centerville has my utmost top favorite symbol lines in Scholastic world. In Scholastic world. Centerville, when they step on the floor, that's where my eyes go, straight to the symbol line. So, yeah. And Fisher's is coming up, on the come up. But I'm going, even though they've had some hardships and a lot of changes going on, one of my top favorite Scholastic groups is still Alyala. So, it's just, I'm sorry, it's too many years of creativity what they do, and I do think they can bounce back.
Yeah. All of those groups. Arcadia. I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for them to break through.
They're like
they are always on the cusp.
It's the broken city of Scholastic world.
Yeah, they're always on the cusp of breaking out and doing something great. And then, like you said, Petal High School, always very unique crowd thought out shows. Shout out to Tony Lyman and the work he does down there with those guys. My kids last year loved their show. They were all about it. I was happy to see them back in finals last year. Just doing great things. You mentioned Avon. You mentioned Ayala. You mentioned Dartmouth. I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't say Chino Hills. Yeah. Consistently, just excellence throughout the past.
The hands of Scholastic world.
Boy,
I'm sorry. It's hard. It's hard to compare, but they are the hands of Scholastic world. I think I've said many a times that I would put Chino Hills against almost any independent group, and it don't make no sense.
I mean,
it don't make no sense.
Those kids.
I need birth certificates. Something that's not going right at that school. You know what I'm saying?
In Scholastic A, Percussion A, Franklin Community was really close to medaling last year. So we'll see if they can finish the job and push towards the top three. Also, Vanderbilt Catholic typically has something really strong going on for them. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can break through and make some changes. Open class. Watch out for these three in open class. Pace High School out of Florida. Good friend of mine, Garrett Lambert, has those kids on the come up. Like, just, they're not a huge group, but man, those guys, they can drum. And arrangements are really outstanding. He does a great job with those. We mentioned earlier Victor J. Andrews, a solid group, consistent. They're going to do what they need to do to get the job done. And then Old Bridge. And those are three completely different style groups, but they all do what they do really, really well.
Yeah.
So those are some good groups that you can look out for.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up any concert groups because, I'm a concert group. So, of course, in world class, Fishers. Good God Almighty! That show last year was outstanding. And then, Ayala always has a great concert group, and it's very hard to see. Like, you got to wonder how many kids are in that percussion program and how many of them double up because they have to have a world class concert group.
Yeah, a lot of those kids are in the marching.
Yeah,
Well,
and the world class
and the world
marching
class
group?
concert. Yep, they're in the concert world and the concert marching. That's a lot of music.
It is.
It's a lot of music.
And those kids are just eating it up and spitting it out. So those two in Concert World, I would definitely check those out. In Concert Oakland, all of those groups are pretty even. Like, I'm interested to see how that shakes out with Cleveland, DeSoto Central, and Powder. They are, they've been battling it out, so we'll see how that goes. And then in Concert A, Penn Tafford always has a very dramatic sounding show. They always put on a really good musical program as well as a musical program as well. Visually stunning stuff. Last year they brought out a harp player.
I remember that. Yeah.
Had a harp player, and they were good. West Clermont out of Ohio, fantastic group as well. And then East Central, another good group out of that group. There's a lot of new faces in Concert A this year, so who knows how that's going to shake out.
They got to start bumping these folks.
Here's the thing: I don't think they'll keep three in Concert Open. I could see them bumping two groups. I've been saying for years, Penn Tafford probably needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then one more probably needs to be bumped up. It's kind of hard to find that what's open and what's A anymore. Because to be honest, the top of A ain't really A. It's open. It's just it's open, but not as flashy, in my opinion.
I wonder if you can start considering if you're going to be that clean, is that enough to put you in another class?
I don't think so.
Because is that still not a skill?
Being clean?
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the scoring system where it's what you're doing, what you're being asked to do, and how you're doing it. And Terry, pretty sure he said this about Victor J. Andrew when they were A class. Because we would see Victor J. at regionals and be like, how are they A? They don't know. This isn't A. And I think he said it best. He said they have the look of a Ferrari with the engine of a jalopy. And what he was saying was, he's like, they look world class. But if you really look at what they're playing, it's A class. All of it's A class material. They just look, the presentation, the floor, the uniforms, how they carry themselves. Everything looked open in the world. But if you really boiled down what they were playing, they were right on that border of where A and open was. And he did that for a while. The problem happens is when you start pushing the envelope to stay up top, you have to put, the way the scores used to work was in order to score above anything above a 96, you have to demonstrate intermediate skills at a high level. Well, if you put too many intermediate skills in there, now you're open class. So that's where, and then finally somebody's just like, all right, you guys are just quit messing around, just go ahead and go open and be done with it.
It's like sometimes
I think
you gotta push the staff and be like, "Look, come on, y'all, come on."
And I've said that about Penn Taffy. I'm just like, what's holding them back from wanting to go open?
Right.
It's like it's going to get to a point to where your kids are just like, can we play something a little harder?
Right.
I mean, my kids have gotten like that. They, I like to, play on the side of caution, but like at some point, if they're ready to go, they're just ready to go.
Yeah. Even if you're not like some hardcore competitive person, like there, a little tiny slither of you should, just want to elevate to another level or try new things, make something more difficult, or give them the opportunity to be in a different class or do something harder. Or basically, just challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's almost saying to some degree. Is like, why are you afraid to be challenged?
Because I will watch some shows and then like a judge will talk to me and be like, you have some open class elements in your show. I'm like, have you seen what that group out there in California doing? Like, I don't think we're doing anything like near like that. But I may just be hearing it from like a complete production standpoint. I'm like, man, that sounds super complicated. But when you like look at the score or when you really break down what they're doing, it's like, oh, it's not that it's super complicated. They're just doing it really, really well.
Mm.
And that's one of those things that the steering committee for WGI has to look at is how well are they executing? What are they executing? And if it's too much of the intermediate skill, or if you're going open world, too much of the advanced skill in their show, do we need to consider bumping them?
Mm.
So it'll be interesting, but I would be willing to bet at least one group out of concert A will get bumped, if not two.
I'm here for that. Get them out. Put everybody in open. Shut down the A class.
See, no, because we've been there before. That was the thing. There wasn't no A class for a while, so we had to be open. Took our lumps. It was something. So, anything else about the percussion world?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wins. Oh, wins. I mean, we already mentioned Avon. Just figuring out the game already. First of all, where do all these things practice at Avon High School?
Listen,
they probably have their own fine arts campus.
Like everybody's got their own gym. The basketball team, the football team, what? The chess team.
Probably so.
The chess team. I'm mad at you.
They need like 17 tables out there so everybody can play their chess match. Where they supposed to go? The cafeteria?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, there's already tables in the cafeteria.
People got to eat in there, though. Can't be putting chess pieces where food goes.
Oh, God. Anyway, so in Scholastic A wins, because that'll go forever. I'm going to look at some hometown folks. Bob Jones out of Alabama.
Yeah.
Looking for them to be strong. Looking forward to seeing Father Ryan.
Yeah.
In their wins group, see how they do out of Nashville, Tennessee. I've always loved when their indoor groups were world class. Mm-hmm. They had some of the most entertaining shows that you could watch, and I'm just looking forward to seeing like how they translate that into the wins world. In open class, interested to see Dartmouth.
Mm-hmm.
If that theater aspect
can transfer,
mm-hmm.
literally say the same thing.
Yeah.
With that, and then a few hometown groups in this class. We got Davis County out of Owensboro, Kentucky. Man, last year I saw them at their home show, and and I watched that show. And they started the year Scholastic A, and I watched that, and I say, ain't no way this is A class. Nothing about this is A class. From the step off, I was just like, nah. And then I think they got bumped that next week. I think the next week, or the first regional they went to, WGI was like, yeah, y'all need to get up out the class. So they moved
y'all comedians too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so them, and then John Harden out of E-Town, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, making their trip up the world. So, and then Mount Juliet as well.
Juliet.
So, a few hometown folks from our end that I'm looking forward to keeping track with. Only 3 Scholastic World groups, but they're all good. I mean, but Avon, they're just Avon. Then you also got Cleveland High School and Greenfield Central. So, you know, all of those groups would be cool. And it's cool to watch the Wins division because there's so many different ways that you can do it. Mm-hmm. And if you're unfamiliar with Wins, you may watch a Wins group. You may go somewhere and watch a Wins show, and you may notice that they're playing with a backing track.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to do that in Wins. The percussion is not scored.
Yeah.
They have no bearing. I'll put that in quotations, but they have no bearing on the outcome of the show. So you see some groups use a backing track to play along with. Some groups will have their percussion section out there. They'll put them in the back, or I think I've seen a couple that have like a drum line or something like that with them. But they are not the focus. It is strictly, wins and how well they do. Color guard can be used as well, and you may see some of that. But it really emphasizes what are the wins doing in the programming around that. So.
I'm about to say more than likely if you're seeing those other elements is got to probably do to help enhance the show concept or idea more than like.
Yeah. So, any win group sheet for you guys? Look at. I know I talked about a whole bunch of them, but
honestly, just for me, I'm excited now that I've got flow to be able to watch these regionals and kind of start looking for different groups that I haven't heard of before and seeing them now that I have that capability to watch these regionals and get back into the winter game.
Yeah, the first regional that will be televised on Floor Marching will happen February 11th. It's the Guard Regional. So, but they're doing quite a few of them. And you can go on WGI.org in whatever classification, whether it's guard, percussion, or winds, you can go under there. You can go to their schedule of events in order to show you not only when the events are, but which events are going to be shown on Flow Marching. So if you have a Flow Marching subscription from like DCI, it's a yearly subscription. So you should be able to just watch
it's worth it.
WGI. So it is so worth it. Like, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And then, like we mentioned last week, if you do order it and you do have it, you will be able to watch every bit of the Color Guard World Championships, the Percussion World Championships, and the Winds World Championships. Mm-hmm. It's all, they record and stream it all. And you'll be able to watch it all. So that alone is worth it. But, you watch 2 regionals, that's paid for it already.
Mm-hmm.
So that is and we're not getting paid by Flow Marching, but it's just good to have.
It is
that. Mm-hmm. And if you want to catch the show before then, like I said, go to WGI, same thing. Go underneath whatever you're looking for, look for circuit partners, click on that, and you'll get a list of all of the circuits that are affiliated with WGI. You can find a circuit near you. That way you can find a show near you, and you can go check it out. You will not be disappointed. At all. So, next week we may talk about a few scores that some more groups come out. We may have some more topics that's about building and establishing a WGI group or WINS group. If any other news from WGI or DCI or BOA comes out, we'll talk about that as well, and things of that nature. But let us know in the comments what Scholastic groups you're looking forward to watching this year and what division. Or if you're watching this and you're in one, shout us out. Let us know if you have videos or something like that. We're going to do our React videos are probably going to shift more towards WGI.
Yep.
So we're going to be watching some guard stuff. We're going to be watching some indoor percussion stuff and wind stuff as well. So we're going to kind of shift gears and go that direction with it.
If you have any suggestions or requests for us to react,
Yeah.
yes,
let us know.
Let us know. We'll shout you out too.
Mm-hmm.
We'll blow up your socials. We'll be like, hey, blah, 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 on Instagram and TikTok and whatever. We'll shout you out for giving us the recommendation. Because with React videos, we can crank out pretty quick because we're just watching something and talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do a lot of those as we go along. I know our schedules are a little bit more relaxed now that Martian Man season's over with. So we can crank those out. But if you liked what you saw, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Did I miss one? No, I don't think I missed one. You can also listen to us on Anchor.fm and Spotify. Episodes typically come out on Wednesday, but, things happen and they might not. So click the notification button. That way when we do post, you know that we posted.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, guys, got anything else? I want to sketch you on.
So, I've talked about this before with my band students. Found the YouTube channel / podcasts, and then they were magically like, "Oh, it's like he really knows what he's talking about." And it's like, yeah. But now my sixth graders have found it, and they think that they have stumbled upon this like gold mine. And I'm like, and I have a group that has what they're like, I've watched every episode. I'm like, you don't even know what we're talking about. This is such a niche avenue that we are in. And they're like, can you shout us out on your podcast? So this is my shout out to those that are listening. You know who you are. Yeah, so you're welcome. I hope I get some brownie points for that. Quit stalking me on
the Bears, man.
YouTube.
Shout out to the Bears.
Yes, go Bears. Now do your homework.
You wait. Go to bed.
Go to bed.
Yes, go to bed.
See you in the morning.
Bring your band instrument next time I come.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. And, we may talk to them. We'd be like, hey, I'll throw you some extra credit if you show up at SCGC Championships and cheer your tails off for us. But that's a good way to get them involved. And we plan on doing our tour again in April before we leave for Worlds.
Please
so we plan on doing that again.
My kids, they came back the next day after y'all had been, and one of my girls was like, I spent an hour trying to find them on YouTube, and I couldn't find it. I just wanted to listen to it and watch it one more time. And I was like, well, if you join percussion ensemble, if you join percussion ensemble, you can actually be in it and hear it all the time.
Yeah.
So our kids definitely loved it when you guys brought them over and you got to experience that. It's something completely different.
Yeah. Like I said, it's such a cool activity and it's so accessible. So glad we can share it. And we hopefully, by us doing this, we can get some more people that, know about it, but maybe get them into it. So, all right. This has been episode number 24. Kobe.
Hey.
I'm on the back hash. Thank you guys for listening and supporting us and all of that good stuff. Until next time, this has been Zach and Will. My name is Cedric. For Chris, who's hopefully not abducted. Guys, take care, love one another, each other, be nice to each other. And we are
Always.
Dut. Out.
And out.
Mamba forever.
Mamba.
Cowboys suck.